Hello and welcome back to the CAVALRY Museum's video podcast. Last week's video I started by dispelling a myth. This week I want to start with a question. What is it that connects the following three places?
Abbotsford, the home of Queen Victoria's favourite novelist Sir Walter Scott, the Household Cavalry Museum in London, and St Catherine's, the parish church of Cossall in Nottinghamshire. The quick answer is the skull of Corporal of Horse Jack Shaw of the 2nd Life Guards. But that is by no means the whole story.
Born in 1789 into a family of prosperous Nottinghamshire farmers, Shaw was a sickly child, but he grew into a strapping lad of over 6 foot who weighed 15 stones and was very handy with his fists.
As he proved one afternoon at the Nottingham Goose Fair when, at the urging of his friends, he stepped into the ring and, aged just 14, won a bare-knuckle prize fight against a much older and heavier man. Nothing more is known of Shaw's boxing career until 4 years later in 1793, when he joined the 2nd Life Guards. The regiment at the time was stationed at Regent's Park Barracks in London. Shaw hadn't been in uniform long before he was involved in a brawl with some rowdy civilians, which left 3 of them out cold on the pavement. Shaw's prowess with his fists soon came to the attention of his commanding officer who, instead of disciplining him, sent the young man for professional boxing training. This took place at Jackson's rooms in Bond Street. Under John Jackson's management, Shaw quickly made a name for himself as the milling lifeguardsman. Over the coming months, he defeated, amongst others, the African-American champion boxer Tom the Moor Molyneux. But boxing and soldiering were not Shaw's only skills. Whilst at Jackson, Shaw's good looks and rippling physique had come to the attention of some of London's leading artists. These included Sir Edwin Landseer, Benjamin Haydon and William Etty, for whom he modelled the picture in the centre, and through Haydon he came to the attention of the novelist Sir Walter Scott, who positively idolised him. In the years that followed, Shaw's bid for the All England boxing crown was interrupted twice by his regiment's deployment, first to fight in the Peninsula in 1812 and then in 1815 for the Waterloo campaign. Sadly for Shaw, boxing and the world of fine art, he was killed at Waterloo under heroic circumstances, which won't detain us here, but are detailed in 2 books that are available on the museum's website. Most unusually for an ordinary soldier, after the battle, Shaw was buried in a marked grave by the farmhouse of La Haye-Sainte, and a memorial was erected to him in the graveyard of his home church at Cossall in Nottinghamshire. However, Shaw's bones would not be left to rest in peace in Belgian soil. This was because, some years later, and at the instigation of Sir Walter Scott, his skeleton was disinterred. The novelist then had 2 plaster casts made of Shaw's skull and, so it was believed, took the actual skull to Abbotsford, where it remains in the library to the present day, except that it doesn't. The truth is that the skull at Abbotsford is, like the one in the Household Cavalry Museum, only a plaster cast, and the skull itself was, until 1898, in a display case at the Royal United Services Institute's museum at the Banqueting House in Whitehall. In that year, the museum's then curator, presumably in a fit of 21st century wokeness at displaying the remains of a British soldier, arranged in secret for the skull to be given a Christian burial in St Catherine's Church in Cossall. According to the parish records, the reinterment of the skull was in an unmarked spot close to the pillar near the font, but nobody knows precisely where.
I hope you've enjoyed this brief look at one of the Household Cavalry's more iconic relics. Next week, I'll be talking about a pair of very rare swords. Until then, stay safe.